and y'all was just there on top of it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for the
We
most
was
part.
in the cut, man. We was in the cut.
Like
Just
Tia
to let y'all
and
know.
Martin, they had like a speech that they were saying.
Mhm.
Of course, when free food was brought up, then that's when you started seeing like a line of people.
Come over.
Yeah.
Got you. I'm just wondering how much did the venue actually help y'all put on a good presentation?
All right, we
necessarily.
live, y'all.
They didn't
We
really
live.
join
Just
in
let
on
y'all know.
that. Nah.
Okay.
We live. We live on Instagram. We live on YouTube. Cheese, let me see your phone. If y'all want, y'all can tap on y'all social medias as far as your Twitters. Just log into the space. But yeah, we live. You already know. Yeah. We live. We live. We live from the right center. Your boy feeling good. Sorry for the delay, folks. We had technical difficulties for the 5th week in a row, and it's not our fault, it is Twitter. Because I started the spaces right at 4:20, and I had to hand it off to Cheese so Cheese can set off the spaces for us. He launched it. So we got Cheese back in the building. And if you are watching us live from the Right Center, we got 2 guests today, 2 ABC family members here, man. 2 thorough gentlemen, 2 crypto enthusiasts, 2 gentlemen who are very knowledgeable in this space. We got our resident trader, D Web, all right, representing Web Ties in the building.
Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
You already know. Then to my right, we got our guy, Jeff. He is a crypto enthusiast and he is a very knowledgeable individual in this space. Man, he's a thorough ABC member, man. So we are here today live. We got Just Cheese back from Martha's Vineyard around some millionaires and billionaires, you know what I'm saying? Hobnobbing with politicians and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Look, we Web3 wavy. We got the crypto votes t-shirts on. So if you're watching us live on Instagram and YouTube, we got the crypto votes shirt on. Cheese got the mint and marquee. So we out here representing, man. We feeling good today, man. We feeling good, man. So, all right. I'm anxious to set this off, man. We gonna dive right into it because we had technical difficulties. We're not even gonna jump into the music. Yo, yesterday, shout out to Tia, the president of the Georgia chapter for Stand With Crypto, for putting a phenomenal event together. It was our first tour, first stop in Athens. You know what I mean? So before we dive into that, we're gonna let the gentlemen introduce themselves. We gotta ask them how they doing, how was their weekend, and how they feeling. You know what I'm saying? But we got a few topics we're gonna dive into. The Martha's Vineyard recap. We're gonna tap into the market because the market is on fire. You know what I'm saying? Crypto is back. Some say it is. You know, man, we're gonna talk about flock cameras. You know what I'm saying? So you know we cover a lot here, man. So let's set it off. Jeff, how you doing? How you feeling? Appreciate you pulling up today. And how was your weekend?
You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the invite, you know what I mean? The weekend was good. You know, it was pretty eventful, you know, with the first stop of the block party south, you know what I'm saying? So that was great to see that. I think it was a great turn. I think we're gonna talk a little bit more about that later, but overall, I mean, you know, just doing good. Staying focused on the market, staying focused on the bigger picture of where we're going in this Web3 space. So I'm excited to see what's coming.
That's right. That's right. I'm excited to see what's coming to in this space, man. We definitely gonna talk about Martha's Vineyard and talk about Athens. You know what I'm saying? We gonna talk about that. We got our guy D Web. D Web, how you doing? How you feeling, man? What's going on, fam?
I'm feeling good, man. Great weekend as well. Honored to be a part of the mission. You know, got to get out, spread awareness around the future of finance. So you know, it was definitely an honor. You know.
That's lit. That's lit, man. That's right, man. We out here paving these streets, man. Paving these Web3 streets, man. Just Cheese. Fresh back from Martha's Vineyard. How you doing? How you feeling? I see you got the fresh braids. You know what I'm saying? Stunting on the man.
Still hunting. They still holding in there.
That's right.
Hold on a second. Cool. Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm back in the building, and it's been good. It's been a good time. Being in Martha's Vineyard, picked up on a lot out there. Every time I leave and come back, there's like a different perspective that I always I find unlocking, because I feel like when we're here, there's so much tunnel vision, and then when we're not here, there's a lot of like new information being received all at once, and then you think about the people that are, you think everybody around you is doing the same thing, but then you go like 100 miles away, or you go like 200 miles away, and you recognize that people are on a whole nother different type of time. So yeah, that being said, it's good to just leave and come back and feel the contrast.
Actually, I do have a quick question about that. Do you think that they're on the same page, or even like not? I don't want to say behind necessarily, but do you think that they're on the same page, similar to what we do over here, or there could be some work that needs to be done on their side to kind of keep up with what we're doing?
So that's like a lot of different like angles to answer that question, because like if we're talking, like I met a lot of people from different parts of the country. I met people that came from DC, and I met people that came from New York. I met people, so it's like, and people that were in Atlanta. But the thing about Atlanta is like the number one thing about Atlanta is like, yes, we got a great population of developers down here, but like the general consensus about Atlanta is that Atlanta lacks the funding that other states get access to. And that's always been a theme, regardless of what we are doing. Like, Atlanta just doesn't get any funding. So that narrative was discussed up there. But as far as what we're doing, like, no one's like doing what we're doing like this. But there's all people coming from different angles. People are coming from angles of like policy. So there's a lot of people that I met that are deep in the policy. They're educating politicians, right? So there's lots of different types of people. I wouldn't say that we're ahead of anybody per se. I would just say that we bring something different. And what I'm really talking when I say like other people though, there's a lot of like common day people that just don't know what's happening and everywhere you go. So like I had spoke to this one father who was with his son, and he was selling lemonade. I was trying to get him to take Apple. I was trying to get him to take USDC, and he didn't know what that was. He was still stuck on Venmo. Venmo was like 2016. So, and he didn't have Apple Pay. I had to help him get Apple Pay set up on his phone so I could pay for the lemonade. So it's like stories like that let me realize like where we're thinking about, we're far ahead. But like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nah, geez, that's a great point, bro. Just to go out in the real world outside of our bubble, because our world is just as real as theirs, but we 24/7 in this space. So for them to be in their bubbles and be so out the loop, I'm definitely not surprised, bro. I'm definitely not surprised, man. So that just means, we got a lot of work to do, all of us. We're all educators in this space, man. So we got a lot of work to do. We are going to mention what happened with Tia and Brian Armstrong, too. We got to talk about that, too, because he brought up a great point. But is there any other thing you want to highlight about Martha's Vineyard, Cheese? Outside of just, like, networking with people and finding out that they are out the loop in crypto?
No, I would say I found out. I want to be clear that Martha's Vineyard, the conference, the summit, were a lot of people that know about crypto.
Gotcha.
So I'm not saying that people didn't know about crypto. They everybody knew about crypto at the summit. That's why it was an expert. It was a group of experts from all different walks that were building. I met a guy that built his own blockchain.
Oh wow.
And so it's a deep in crypto AI solution. And yeah, there's a lot of people. I met Jesse Jackson's son,
Oh wow.
and Congressman Jackson from Illinois, and had some good conversations about what he's looking to do, what he hopes to see the technology. I met another congressman who got introduced into the space by his sons when his sons told him about buying Bitcoin over Thanksgiving dinner. So like that stuff like that, you also recognize that we were on a call with Mason one week, and the way people find about this space, and even in the government, is the same way we be finding about this stuff. Like they be finding about it, like their children be telling them about it, right? Just like we know Barron told Trump a lot of things, right? So the congressmen, some of them though, it looks like from a Democratic perspective, they're behind. I think there's probably a lot of kids starting to school their parents on like, yo, y'all need to understand this technology.
That's dope, man. I really appreciate, just all of that information you was able to just gather from being in a room of people who were involved in the space. And then, did you get a chance to really have any conversations about what you're building in this space too with any of the individuals out there? Because, your platform Skylark, definitely could be integrated into a lot of businesses. So I hope you was able to shout Skylark out, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I shout out ABC. I shout out Skylark, and I think the interesting thing is about that is Martha's Vineyard is it's a place where a lot of people go for vacation, and a lot of people visit. So actually, because I was going there, I actually built something. I showed you guys. I think I showed you guys, right? Before.
Yeah. Before you left, right?
Before I left, right? So that also helped me for what we're going to be doing here on the tour. So yeah, I think every time, like I said, like every time there's always opportunities to do something for Skylark as well.
That's great. All right, man. So we proud of you. We're glad you're back. You know what I'm saying? Back on the couch. And we cooking, man. Shout out to Cash, man. Shout out to I ain't gonna lie, man. We had a very long conversation, because of the car trips that we had. And shout out to my guy D-Web, you know what I mean? We were all able to share some of our music, man. You know what I'm saying? So that was dope to just talk of other things outside of crypto. You know what I'm saying? Just what we like outside of crypto. Some of the other aspects of our personality. You know what I'm saying? So, she kind of is very modest and humble, but I want to just shout her out, man, and just let her know to continue doing your thing with the music, especially, I got D-Web too, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard some of his older music, and his newest shit is fire. He rocking.
Cass was rapping?
Nah, she was singing. I ain't gonna spoil it. I'm gonna let, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let her, play it for you, but because she's very, close to the heart with it. You know what I mean? She really didn't want to let it out like that. We kind of had to force her. But it was dope.
Hey, Tigo, tell them about your music though.
Nah, we ain't talking about me right now. You know what I'm saying? But just to hear the progress, that I've heard from your first song to where you at now, D-Web. You know what I'm saying? I heard you spitting over Rock Marciano, type flow, on the track, man. I like the track. I was like, oh, this shit is hard, and then it let me know that you're a fan of music itself. You know what I'm saying? Because you're from the younger generation, but you still appreciate certain vibes. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, he got another crypto song under his belt. You know what I'm saying? So when we wrap up the pod, we're probably gonna end off with that because I actually want the people to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Cool. But tell the people, first of all, anything that you wanna we're gonna get into just the interview. But just tell people about the perspective that you had when we went out to Athens. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because Athens was kind of dope, and then we're gonna pass it off to Jeff. So you guys can share your thoughts and express, how you guys feel about our first trip, man, out of the city, man.
Okay. Going out to Athens for the first time, for the first part of the tour. Like I say, it's always an honor to be able to spread education and see people have that light bulb moment when they get exposed to new information that can potentially change their life. And I think Tia did a great job presenting the information and really just being that leader for us, So I think that was great. And, like I say, I'm looking forward to the rest of the tour and just continuously making each event better, and progressing. So that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Tia, man, for putting this whole thing together. The setup was right. The food was good too.
Food was amazing.
Food was on point. Shout out to Tia.
Was crazy.
Too. That's right.
Yeah, I agree with what D-Web was saying in the sense of just bringing that education out the city and really boots to the ground type of grassroots movement. I mean, I think that's what Stand With Crypto is supposed to be. So for us to actually do that and actually practice what we preaching, I think it was a good starting point for sure. As far as like the turnout goes, I think that it was a good starting point. Shout out to Tia, shout out to Marlon for the speeches that they gave to have like a good introduction to the updates of what's going on, especially like with the Clarity Act and everything too. And it was kind of towards the end is where I started to see people in the bar kind of sit and listen. At first, there was a lot of talking, but then you started like seeing the talking fade and people were actually kind of tuning in. And of course, when they heard free food, then they kind of lined up, but they lined up with questions. So after that, the ABC members went ahead and spread out, talk to people individually, and I think that is like key to like really sit down with people because maybe they'll be nervous to kind of ask questions in a group. So if you spread out, really get into nitty gritty and ask people, like make them feel comfortable, just have a conversation with them. I think that helped. We ended up passing out some flyers too when we did that. So I think that caused people to really see what ABC is doing, see what Stand With Crypto is doing, and share with their friends and family of what's going on. So I think it was a great first start to Block Party South, and I think we got some good feedback and some good data to use for when we do Augusta next weekend for the other two stops in Savannah and Atlanta.
Yes, sir. That was a great take, man. That was a great take.
Great take.
So I can agree with you on that. And, from my perspective, I really think, some people, they might have been, I guess, not intimidated, but they didn't know how to approach us. Because let's talk about the elephant in the room. We were pretty much the only people of color there.
Right. 100%.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm glad that we're not afraid to go into areas where people don't look like us and we're able to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Because when I came in, I saw you speaking to a couple of individuals. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that was dope. That was refreshing. You see? And I had to pull D Webb into a conversation. He was speaking to Chris, and there was a gentleman who was interested in trading.
Right.
So, he heard about this event through the flagpole newsletter out there in Athens. Mm-hmm. There was another individual, brother, he was out there that came out there, but he was interested in trading, so I ended up introducing him to D Webb.
Right.
You see what I mean? And I told him about ABC, obviously, told him about what we do, Mm-hmm. So again,
I do want to make a point.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like when we do these events and go to these different places, it's not always about like giving them the whole playbook. Like we essentially plant seeds. That's so right. They can water them on their own. So I think again it was a great starting point for not only for our tour but for the people, the go deeper into this and essentially change their lives.
That's right.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to. I don't. I wasn't there, but I wanted to comment on that because that was kind of the point I was making earlier. Like, did you at least get to plant some seeds?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, regardless of like how many people showed up, were there seeds planted?
Right.
Most definitely, most definitely. Not only that, I saw a few people, speaking to individuals out there, So there was one guy, the most interesting conversation. He kind of had like six ABC members, kind of like in a circle. He's very enthusiastic, talking a lot about like blockchain and what he didn't like about crypto. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So was anybody here part of that conversation with him? Cause, all right, Jeff, tell the people your experience, dealing with that guy, because he had a lot of passion. You know what I'm saying? His wife was trying to pull him back from the convo, and he had to get some shit off his chest. And it was funny because I think this is the first time they probably seen, a bunch of educated, people like ourselves, black people, going into white neighborhoods,
Right.
not being afraid to have the dialogue. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was good that we had feedback from, somebody from out there. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so in that group, I know Cass was in that conversation, Chris was in that conversation, and Rich was in that conversation. And basically, this guy was talking about how he thinks that fiat is still gonna last, and he's not a big fan because something about Coinbase, and he didn't like Coinbase. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think they kind of screwed up a transaction on his end or something. But his whole stance was like, uh, crypto is not a scam per se, but like fiat's gonna stay because why would countries remove their power with fiat because they could just print money, which gives them the power to accumulate resources and stuff like that. So why would they give that up? We tried to explain, with crypto, and they technically have to move to a blockchain based economy moving forward anyway. So with us trying to explain that, he's all like, but like, yeah, fiat's not backed by nothing, but neither is Dogecoin, neither is this and that. And I was like, well, yeah, with stable coins, it's still pegged to the US dollar. So if the US dollar collapses, so with a stable coin as well. But that's also why you would kind of go towards, an asset backed economy or asset backed stable coin in that sense. So his whole stance of like, well, we're just gonna stick with fiat because that's pretty much all he knows, and he's scared to kind of move out of that. And then with that bad experience with Coinbase and everything. So I don't know. I don't know who's listening right now, but if anyone that was in that conversation, you want to chime in and say something too. But that's pretty much what the sum of it was.
Nah, thank you for that. Thank you for that recap of that conversation with that gentleman, man. Because I had a couple other conversations, and I just didn't want to kind of like jump into that one. I kind of wanted to respect y'all, being able to handle that, and y'all did a good job. Y'all did a good job. We got Blue. We gotta bring her up. She's a co-host, and we also got somebody by the name of Isaac. All right, so Isaac, he's a blockchain educator, so we're gonna bring him up, as a speaker. But first, Blue, how you doing? What's going on? Tell us how you're feeling. Can you hear us? Somebody mic on. Who's that? All right, Blue. There you go.
Hey, everybody, I'm doing good. In the car with some ABC family.
Hey.
I'm rolling with Bro and Cass right now. So, still coming off of from InvestFest, Atlanta Tech Week, to Cass was in Athens. We're just coming from a golf event right now, so it's been nonstop. It's great to hear everything that's happening. Cheese and Martha's Vineyard. I just love what everybody's doing, but I'm doing good. I'm a little hot, but other than that, I'm cooling down because of bro's air conditioning. Praise God. But it's been a really great day, and then seeing like women with the U.S. Open. What is this thing? Yeah, U.S. Open, Peach City tournament. that was really awesome, and it was really great networking too. We got to meet the East Side golf guys, so that was really cool. But yeah, that was my day.
Not
And
that sounds lit,
that was
man.
it.
Yeah. So you said you with Putu and Cass. Hey, shout out to
Yeah.
Putu. He's another Web3 enthusiast, but he got some music under his belt too. He mixing the Afro beats, with the Web3, convo, man. So, yo, shout out to them. And Cass, if you can, tell the people your perspective on yesterday, and then we're gonna have Isaac speak right after you, Cass. So I don't know if you want to jump on Blue's phone, if that's the easiest way to do that, or you want me to send you a request. You just let me know. I sent you a request, so we got you up on stage. Cash, how you doing? How you feeling? What was your thoughts on yesterday?
Yeah, my thoughts on yesterday was I really enjoyed seeing a whole group of us on as soon as I walked in to Athens, and it made me feel a lot safer. I was a little nervous, to be honest, in the neighborhood we were in. But as soon as I took a right and saw our long table, everyone looking good in uniform, we all had our crypto vote shirts or ABC shirts or Stand Crypto shirts. So we actually looked really organized. And I think it was that type of professionalism that started the conversations for people that didn't hear, the speakers when we would step outside. That first guy was like, "Hey, tell me about this. Like, are you guys a organization or?" So I think just running as a unit really actually gave confidence to people to approach us because we look professional, we look uniform. Everyone was intellectual. Everyone could speak about the subject. So I was really impressed with how we represented ourselves, how we articulated our industry, and how we got to talk about each individual company. Like, everyone's doing something different, whether they're trading or building a business with blockchain. It's not just the fintech aspect. It's not just the volatility conversation. So yeah, I thought everyone was pretty sharp. I really liked that conversation with that one dude, and that his wife was pulling him away because he was having too much fun. But you could tell people are actually yearning for this type of conversation. And I think it's good to have different perspectives because, you can see how people are thinking. And then you can also see exactly where the bottleneck comes in, or exactly where the wall is, or exactly where the nuanced sentence or the trigger word, clicks, and then you get a different type of reaction. So there was a lot of passion in that conversation, but this individual didn't know about the Clarity Act. So he didn't know that this was something actually to be voted on. So although he was pretty educated and had an interesting perspective on some pieces, he wasn't aware that there's policy that is being created, worked on, debated, and to be voted for. So I think that is exactly the reason we go out of our Atlanta area to educate about this, because we want people with different perspectives to be a part of the conversation and voting, and to help educate where there's gaps, right? So I think T Gold in the car, you brought up a really good point. We had a great discussion about someone could be right about the facts, but wrong about how that's actually executed. Whether it's the government or the system, there's what and there's what actually happens in the background. So there's a disconnect between what is current laws or current social norms and what's actually being played out. And that gap itself can lead you into, a different belief of, oh, this is the system, this is how this is going to work. So factually you may be right, but in reality, how that actually plays out, if it doesn't directly affect you, you'll never know, right? You'll never know like what's going on. That's why he didn't know about policy, because it's not affecting him from his current beliefs. So I thought it was a great eye opener on both ends. and just a good conversation. So shout out to Tia, shout out to Tavy, shout out to Marlon, shout out to everybody that participated, and thank you T Gold for driving us there and back safely. So yeah, I thought it was excellent. So thanks for letting me share. And shout out to Jeff. Jeff always asks the questions. You know, Jeff will stop you, you know, when you make a point, instead of arguing back, Jeff will say, "What do you mean by that? You know, tell me a bit more about why that's your perspective." So I love talking to Jeff because you really can't get away from what you're really trying to say when you talk to Jeff, because he just goes deeper and deeper, and it exposes either what you know or what you don't know. And now we can have a real conversation. So shout out to Jeff for asking all the questions in the conversation. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to Jeff, man. Big shout out to Jeff, man. That actually brings us to a great segue. We're gonna get into his backstory. We do have somebody who has a question or he has a comment. It's a new listener. His name is Isaac. We're gonna let him speak right quick. So Isaac, you can step on the stage, and then we're gonna get into interviews with Jeff and our guy D Web. Isaac, how you doing, man? Appreciate you tapping in.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. It's a really, really great pleasure for me to join like tons of people. People that are actually building something very, very outstanding. You know, something very, very remarkable in the blockchain ecosystem and also in the Web3 ecosystem. Yeah. So I really want to give a very, very big and special shout out to the host, to the co-host, and to Kaz. I think she actually said a very huge point. You know, the idea of going out to educate the people, to let the people, to also enlighten the people about what is actually going on. Please let me give you guys a standing ovation and a clap around this, because honestly, you deserve the best. All right, so quickly, yeah, I wasn't actually here when you guys actually started here. I just want to ask, what exactly are you guys building here? But before I start, I just want to give you guys a quick drop about myself. My name is Isaac Ben, Christian, a believer of God, a true disciple of Christ, yeah. A black man for that matter, that's my symbol of identity, yeah. And I think about a couple of years, I've actually been hosting spaces, events, you know, educating the people. You know, I like to tell people that we are out there to educate the people about blockchain. And one thing I actually love doing is connecting with like minds of people like you guys are actually building something very, very outstanding there. We can also spread the gospel across the African community. But before I actually go further, I would like to ask, what exactly are you guys doing? Because I wasn't actually here when you guys started this space.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for tapping in, you know, and just recognizing what we do. So, to get into the details, I'm the founder of the Crypto Crew, which is a Web3 media platform. I have a website and I have a newsletter, right, that you can go to. It's called thecryptocrew.com, and you can get your latest crypto news. So, we do this podcast every Sunday at 4:20. We do a multi-stream pod on Instagram, YouTube, and obviously X. So I have two co-hosts. We got Just Cheese and we got Blue. These are the co-hosts, but every once in a while we have guests. Like today we got Jeff and we got D Web that's gonna share their thoughts on this space and how they got into this space. And every Thursday, 6 to 9, we're in Atlanta. We're based in Atlanta. We're at the Atlanta Blockchain Center. And that's where people can come in. You can ask questions. You can sit in for our sessions. And a lot of times our guy Just Cheese, he sets up those sessions where he takes a deep dive into whether it's tokenization of real world assets, blockchain, and AI. We pretty much cover the latest happenings in this space. So we're a collective group, right? And this organization was founded by Marlon Williams, who's a developer of blockchain platforms, and he's been in this space I think since 2012, 2011, but he's been in there early. He's an OG. So yeah, we fall under the umbrella of the Atlanta Blockchain Center, but we have builders here like Just Cheese. He has his platform called Skylark, and that's a you want to tell people about Skylark right quick, Cheese? Just tell them.
Yeah. Real quick, I'll just say that it's an engagement platform for brands and communities to engage their audience with activations and quests.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So he's a builder, and we have several other builders here, like Blue. She's a builder. They have Blue Water, her and Cass. So they have that platform together. And Blue, do you want to share your thoughts on what you guys are doing with Blue Water? Cass can take that as well too. Whoever's more available. All right, the ladies might be caught up or something. Oh no, we got Blue.
For sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Blue.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, to keep it simple and easy, we make blockchain easy and give you like your use case. So if you're doing a business, we make a platform to help you be able to build your business on the blockchain and, kind of use those benefits from using blockchain. So that is what Blue Water does.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, this is some of our collective group. Some brilliant minds who are building in this space, and we also have traders. Like I got D Web. He's gonna be telling his story shortly after Jeff. So we're gonna get right into the interviews with these gentlemen here. And shout out to our guy Putu, man. He's actually from Africa as well too. I heard an accent, Isaac. What country are you from?
Yeah, I'm actually a Nigerian man, and that's my symbol of identity. I'm a black man, an African man, proud one, yeah.
Respect due, respect due. I appreciate that, man. So thank you for tapping in, sir. And yeah, we're gonna dive right into the background of these gentlemen. And first, Jeff is gonna go. Jeff, how did you get into this space? What interested you the most about blockchain technology? And what do you think about the future of blockchain?
Okay. Well, first I want to say appreciate that, Cash. Shout out to Cash for that comment. I always have been a deep thinker, like since I was a kid, just asking why. So I think that also kind of led me to this space. But I would say how I first got into it or exposed to crypto was, out of all people, my barber actually. It was January 2020, so like right before the pandemic, and he told me, because we were talking about investments and stuff like that, but also like world events, World Economic Forum, Rothschild, stuff like that. And then we ended up talking about XRP. So he was like, you need to get into XRP, you need to look this up. So for a while, I was leaning more into like World Economic Forum, central bank digital currencies, and seeing the negative aspects of that. So that deterred me from looking into crypto up until like 2022. So he would keep showing me like, Russia teaming up with Ripple and, testing XRP in 2018, Bank of Japan speaking with Ripple, and just like the different connections that Ripple was doing between January 2020 and September 2022. So I can't refute that. And then when I saw that the Treasurer of the United States under the Obama administration, Rosie Rios, became a board of directors on Ripple, I was like, all right, there's got to be something to this at this point. So I went ahead and downloaded Uphold, the centralized exchange, and started buying it. And then it wasn't until 2023 is when I really started diving into the economic system in general. And I saw a New York Times article that said that the U.S. could default on its debt in June of that year. So when I looked up what that would mean, it's talked about like a bank bail-in. So a bail-in is when unsecured deposits in your bank accounts get used to pay off the debt. So I was like, they're gonna take my bread anyway if this is the worst case scenario, because I think it was Signature Bank and Silicon Valley Bank that collapsed that year. So I was like, if I'm seeing these bank failures, I need to move into crypto. So I went ahead and really started buying XRP, XLM, started going into the ISO 222 compliant tokens, started researching what that was, what that messaging standard actually says, going into Basel 3 as well, and really diving into crypto. So June of 2023, through my research of like 4 months, I put a 4-part presentation for my family and friends. So went from like what the fiat system is now, why we need to get off of it, ISO 222 and crypto, the specific coins or blockchain protocols that are compliant with that standard, and how to prepare for a like reset if we go into a currency reset. And then 2024 is when I was trying to find other people that were in this space. So I found Crypto Mondays Atlanta on Eventbrite. That was at Clark Atlanta. And actually, this is where I didn't talk, but I saw Joe, and it may have been Bubba as well. But I know for a fact I saw Joe. It was April and it was May. But those sessions really kind of, because I'm skeptical and kind of like conspiratorial a little bit, but this really like made me think like, okay, there's something to this, because there was a talk or a conversation where it was actually a representative from BlackRock that showed up. I think it was in May of 2024, and he was talking about Securitize, and I think they were using Ethereum to stake USDC, I believe. And when there was one student that asked the question, hey, like besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, what others like cryptocurrencies could I invest in? And instead of, talking not even like a Litecoin or something else, they were like, oh, you could do Demo, which is on Coinbase and stuff like that. So I'm looking around like, why is no one talking about the ones that I'm researching? So I bring up, hey, like, well, you also have XLM, and the dude from BlackRock, literally his face was like, he just got quiet. And then this one lady next to me was like, what's that? So I explained what it was. And all of a sudden the dude from BlackRock was like, well, actually it also does this too. I'm like, so you do know about it then. So, but you decide not to say anything. This is interesting. Okay. And then somebody, I think it was the lady that was handling Crypto Mondays in Atlanta, told me about Atlanta Blockchain Center. So when I did go in June, it was when you guys had your 2-year anniversary party. So that's the first time I joined. And I was like talking to everybody. So I met Marlon for the first time. And it was like, you just keep showing up. And this is where we had like Tuesday and Wednesday sessions too. So I went on a Tuesday because this is where I met Project Pyvan, and he was like, oh, pull up on Tuesday if you really have questions. And I did. And that's when I was asking questions about blockchain. So I knew how like crypto and like XRP would theoretically be integrated into the financial system, but I couldn't tell you what a blockchain was. I couldn't tell you what a consensus mechanism was, proof of stake. I didn't know none of the actual technical terms. Speaking on Cass's point, that's what I've been doing since I've been here for the past 2 years now, is just asking these technical questions, pulling up white papers and seeing the algorithms and the calculations of how that actually works. So where I'm at now, as far as where I think we're going to go, I think my original thesis when I got into this space, as far as crypto being integrated into financial system, I think that's correct, because we've seen with the Clarity Act and even with the Genius Act that passed September of last year, now we're seeing stable coins from federally regulated companies issuing out stable coins now. So it's effectively, being integrated in the financial system right now. Whether that's part of Agenda 2030, that's another topic for another conversation. But at the end of the day, that is inevitable where we're moving to, because they have no choice. The system that we're at now is failing. It's proven to fail. The other 6 times the world has seen a world reserve currency, fiat, excessive printing has gone to zero. And they need crypto to fix that aspect, and they need blockchain to fix that aspect. So I think in the future we'll start seeing not just that, but maybe we'll start seeing, because I think we had talked about tickets being like NFTs of people going to concerts and stuff like that. Maybe that'll even be people's IDs at that point. I do think that wallets will be biometric, in the sense that instead of having like your password identity stolen, your ID and your identification will be attributed to your biometric data, so no one can steal your data no more. No one can steal your identity and go into your medical records and stuff like that, because your ID will be tied to you. So you'll have like your ID on the blockchain, your biometric data, that'll be you moving forward. So when you go to different websites, like you'll have your wallet attached to that, so you can buy goods and services from your wallet directly, instead of having to put your bank account information at every site you go into. So stuff like that, I think, is what we're going to get into very soon, probably by 2030. And I think that's kind of where we're headed at right now, even with smart cities and stuff like that too. I think that's what these data centers are for, but that's just another topic for another conversation. I think I answered your questions.
Yes, sir, man. Thoroughly, man. Thank you for that background on who you are, how you came into this space. And I see why we've been getting into those deep conversations about like conspiracy theories, because we tie in a lot of that into blockchain. So I understood your skepticism initially into the space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that means the media has been doing a good job on painting crypto in a bad light. You know what I'm saying? Because I was on that same boat until I started to do a deep dive like you. So, nah, man, we appreciate you pulling up to ABC, being a part of the community, and asking thorough questions. Because even on, the Thursdays, you ask questions or you give insight, you know what I'm saying, to certain things. Like you might do a real deep dive in real time, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
just on things we talk about. So, to Cass's point, you're very intelligent in that aspect where you ask the questions and you do deep dives, you know what I'm saying? And thank you for, like I said, the backstory on who you are, and I agree in the future, man. You brought up something that made me think about WorldCoin with the orb, you know what I'm saying? And people just putting, their biometric data, they attach that to the blockchain via WorldCoin with the orb, scanning that. So shout out to Marlon for bringing the orb to ABC in 2022, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the WorldCoin store in Ponce de Leon over here in Atlanta is no more. It's a Lululemon now. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man. But nah, Jeff, thank you, brother. Thank you. So next up, we got our guy, D Webb. All right. So he's gonna give us a backstory on how he came into this space, you know what I'm saying, how he found ABC, and also the future of blockchain. All right. So D Webb, tell the people who you are, man.
By the way, that was great, Jeff. You got me a little nervous. Nah, but I'm Darian Webster, also known as D Web. D Web don't stand for decentralized. The decentralized web is but I essentially came into space 2017, going into 2018. I got exposed straight out of high school, and I remember it was this one day. One of my classmates. He kept doing his work super fast. I'm like, bro, how are you doing your work super fast? He said everything on the internet. So that just like sparked something in me. So going forward from there, I was like, bro, I already know I don't want to work for nobody, so I gotta figure out how to make money online. And I started getting exposed to like crypto. Now mind you, I went to school for economics and finances, so I always been interested in like stocks and all that. So that was like my origin into getting exposed. And then June 6, 2018, I went to this meeting. One of my friends, it was like, hey, I got something you might be interested in. So we went to these people house. It was like, hey, look at this. They showed me like the charts. She was like, I made $1,000 from a penny. So from there, I ended up meeting another guy. He was telling me he made $9K a month. He just watches like TV. So ever since then, I really just been hooked. Then that led to me getting exposed in the crypto around 2018. And then from there, I just started sharing the information with some of my friends. I ended up creating a iMessage chat, and then that grew to 32 people. Then from there, like 2018, 2019, that's when I started my Discord, and I just been sharing the information from there. Gotcha. And essentially, I just seen the power. I just seen the power of this technology. I seen where the system was going. I always, like I said, I went to school for economics and finances, so I always had a basic understanding of supply and demand, inflation, and all that type of stuff. So that played a part. And then just, bro, the system is broken. Like the system is broken. So me being able to make that identification, it just made me dive in a little deeper. When I moved here in 2021, I was on my journey alone till I found the Blockchain Center. Sitting on Eventbrite, I was looking for a community. Came that first day, I remember, I walked through the famous nobody's room. First person I met was Van. And basically I just kept coming back, and one of the best decisions I ever made. But essentially, man, I believe this whole space is bigger than just blockchain, crypto. It's like, this is gonna be a new way of life, and I believe if we don't adapt, we're gonna get left behind. So I'm just a vessel. I look at myself like a vessel in this space, just trying to spread the information and plant as many seeds as I can. That's who I am.
Man, that's also another great story, man, on just your introduction into this space. And I gotta, tip my hat off to you, brother, for being able to come straight out of high school and dive right in, bro, and just knew you wasn't gonna be working for anybody. You know what I'm saying? You had that entrepreneurial spirit, you know, that hustler spirit that you was gonna get it off the internet. You know what I'm saying? And you did. You capitalized on that, and now you got a Discord where you know people can tap in, get your information. You teach them about trading. You know what I'm saying? So. Nah, that's dope, man. That's dope. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. We have some brilliant people here at ABC, and everybody do something different, but we all have a gift. That's why I call us the Web3 Avengers. You know what I'm saying? Because we all bring something dope to the table, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's only right that Marlon is Professor X. You know what I'm saying? He's constantly building. We was out there yesterday, you know, at Athens. He's cooking up right then. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he's constantly cooking, man. So shout out to Marlon, you know what I mean? Shout out to Hoodwatch too. You know what I'm saying? Word. And Cheese, yo, what do you think about, you know, the gentleman that we have here today, man? Because I know basically around that time when you started coming around to ABC, I think you was like the first one pulling up to ABC. So when you encountered D-Web and Jeff, what were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, well, let me do it in order because I met D-Web first. And I remember when D-Web was coming, D-Web, I got introduced, and the number one thing we would always talk about was like what you're gonna build inside of your Discord, like what's like is Reptiles going to become a metaverse? Because that's when you were thinking about doing the whole.
I did a virtual world.
Yeah, the whole virtual world play. So there was some stuff that we were working on then, and then the other thing too, outside of Web Ties, the music. Starting to see him attack the music. So I just thought it was like he got his like lane carved out. Because like that was unique to what he who he is, and he's building a community around that. And he had checking in on the Wednesdays. He had people that actually stayed in tune, actually learned from him, and followed his trading routine. So I like that's consistency. So that's what I thought about when I met him. And then with Jeff, I thought the same thing. Cass, like I like people that just ask good questions, and it's like not afraid to take it one step further, because like Cass said it already, but it's like you start to you realize that people want to actually have good conversations and not just like surface level conversations. And when you meet people that actually are that inquisitive, then it helps suss out or helps add more conversation. So Jeff has always been good at adding conversation on the Thursdays because he speaks out and adds his perspective to everything.
Nah, man, that's a great assessment of these gentlemen here, man. So yeah, man, I can always say I always had great conversations with both of these gentlemen, and as well as deep conversations with D-Web, man, because I know Jeff mentioned, the conspiracy theorist stuff, and D-Web, he hit me to some stuff we were talking about yesterday in the trip, just about the Moors. You know what I'm saying? So, we was able to really have a deep dive, and that's the thing I appreciate about our community. We all were somebody else before we got into crypto. Crypto gave us another layer, to who we are as a human, but there are common underlining threads that we all have here. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even with the music, you know what I'm saying? Because Cheese mentioned the music with you with D-Web. And, we have a resident DJ here, you know what I'm saying? But he's into crypto. And then, like, when we vibe out, we have a good time. So it's like we're very well-balanced people when it comes to this space. You know what I'm saying? Because it was funny, too, the couple of gentlemen that came up to us and had dialogue with us yesterday at Athens, you could tell they're not probably too, what's the word I want to say? Not the most creative people, but they were very intelligent. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think we bring a certain flavor that's missing in this space. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people, they just might be super, super nerds and don't really have a lot of culture. You know what I'm saying? A lot of diversity. They might just be in their little, their little worlds and not really engage with a lot of people. But I feel like, we can actually help bridge that gap to make crypto look cool, fly, and sexy. That's
gotta
what
be
we
cool.
do.
You gotta
You know
be
what I'm
cool.
saying?
That's how the masses going.
That's right. The Web3 wavy.
I feel like us making crypto look cool is how the younger generation is gonna really regurgitate the information. Because if it don't look cool, it's just like it's lame, essentially.
Let me ask you a question. What does that mean? Like, what is looking cool? How does crypto look cool to you?
That's a good question, Chief.
That's a great question. I think it's a lot of ways. I think on a human level, just being super authentic. Like we don't have to be super professional. Don't get me wrong. I do believe professionalism do play a part, but it still has to be relatable to the people. And then also, like he just said, like the flavor. You gotta have sauce, a little bit of sauce. Can't get lost in the sauce, but you gotta have sauce.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the making it relatable piece is the key, right? And when we meet different people, sometimes it takes a minute to determine what you can even relate with this person on, right? So like life and all their things that they have going on with them, you have to like try to find some common ground pretty quick, and then determine how to communicate.
I think that's where like the music and arts and all that type of stuff come into play though. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like the icebreaker in a way. Like
No.
it's a frequency and it over trumps everything. So I think
Yeah, that's kind of where I was about to go. Like I feel like that some of the things that I've seen work powerful is like being able to tell stories,
Right.
or being able to ask questions about things that are happening in their lives that are related to, moments where blockchain is actually relevant, right? Because then it's like, oh shit,
right.
I could have done that. Like I was when I was on Martha's Vineyard, I was there was an illumination show that happens every like there's a third week in August. There's a night of illuminations where they hang these lanterns outside the houses, and people just walk around and check out the different houses. But I was walking around the house, and there was a kid selling lemonade, and I try to get them. I kind of explained the story already, but there was a kid selling lemonade. I wanted to help him get set up so I can pay with USDC.
No doubt.
Right, and his dad was like, I don't know what that is. I heard of Coinbase, but I don't necessarily trust any of that other stuff. I was just like, well, it would be faster than anything else that you got right now. I don't have Venmo, and I don't have any cash on me. And so he was like, well, can you do? He was just like throwing all these arcade options out. I was like, do you have Apple Pay? And he was just like, no. I'm like, so you only have Venmo, and Venmo was 2016. So I had to teach him how to set up Apple Pay on his phone. But while I'm doing that, I'm highlighting to him also that I could set up a Phantom wallet on your phone pretty quick, email, right, and send you the $3 USDC, and then you could have split it up and you could have invested some of it for your kid over here and over here. So you start having control over your finances. So I try to break that down to him, but he wasn't really trying to hear none of that. He was just like, okay, cool, I'll get to that. So I paid him the $3 for the lemonade, and I left. But my point here is like that moment was I try to utilize the moment of him and his child to make it real for him.
That's right.
Right? Because I think if we get caught up in trying to break down like seed phrases and all this stuff to somebody. Like, yeah, we should teach that part, but we got to hook them where the utility is actually providing solutions for things that they actually are experiencing.
Was that one cup was $3?
For a lemonade,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's inflation, boy. I thought it was what happened to 50 cent lemonade.
No, not anymore.
It's
Not
over
anymore.
with.
Actually, that's cheap.
Yo,
$3 for lemonade is cheap.
but I ain't gonna lie, Cheese. You made me think about something. This is gonna be a great segue because check this out. On Wednesday, NFTia, all right. Shout out to NFTia, man. She was on a call, Zoom call. Shout out to Mason Lenoir, Executive Director of Stand With Crypto. Tia had an opportunity to speak to Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase. Asked him one question. Now, mind you, there were over, at one point, Sarita said there were over 100 people on this phone call. So the odds of Tia being able to have this conversation and dialogue with Brian Armstrong, and to your exact point, Cheese, her question was, on a broad scale, how can we get people educated in this space? And to your point, Brian highlighted that it's not about so much educating the people, it's more so of hiding the wires of blockchain so people don't know that they're using crypto, so it can be seamless transactions. So people who aren't familiar with crypto, sometimes because we're in our bubble and we're such degens, sometimes we're too technical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because we're passionate about it, you know, some people might just, like you said earlier, get lost in the sauce because we so, you know, in the trenches with crypto. Some people just may not want to have a deep conversation. They just want, yo, I just need my $3. You know what I'm saying?
Some people don't like what they don't understand as well. So, like, yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Some people, they don't like what they don't understand, so it'll just make them naturally just shun it when they hear certain words, you know, like blockchain or any technical terms.
But I'll say this. Sorry, I'm gonna let you finish first.
Cheese.
I'll let you
So-
finish first.
I say all that to say this, like, Tia had a great question, and we all have a major job ahead of us educating people, because we're not going to stop educating people about this, because obviously there's a certain hunger in the community for it, right? But we know there's a certain segment of the population that just wants to get paid. They don't care if they getting USDC or they getting physical dollars, you know? So sometimes, depending on the person that we meet, we might have to just 30 seconds give them something to relate to it, like to D-Web's point, something relatable, you know, something that they can use, have the utility, to Cheese's point, you know what I'm saying? And it's the best of both worlds. You know, we get the regular retail people spending crypto, or small business owners or major companies start accepting cryptocurrency payments. You know, it's just simple as that. So shout out to Tia for being able to speak to Brian Armstrong. You know, if you haven't seen the footage, check out the social media for Tia or Atlanta Blockchain Center. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it on my website as well. Excuse me, I'll put it on my social media as well too. So y'all tap into that so you can see firsthand Tia asking Brian Armstrong that question. And then the very next day, Brian Armstrong was where? In the White House, standing next to Trump and a bunch of other crypto CEOs. You see what I'm saying? Then Friday, he was just all on mainstream media, you know, just being interviewed about, you know, the turnout from that meeting. All right. Now, mind you, you know me, I keep up with the news, right? The left-leaning media, they had an issue with Trump having all his crypto homeboys in the White House, right? So for me, that signaled one thing. We know September 15th is the next time they're supposed to be sitting down to sign off on the Clarity Act, right? I don't think that meeting helped, especially if they need Democratic support to get this bill passed. So my personal opinion, because, you know, almost every week we give a update on the Clarity Act. My personal opinion, I feel like based on the sentiment coming from the left, they always bring up the point Trump made $2 billion. If Clarity gets passed, the Clarity Act gets passed, there's a good potential Trump can walk away with $10 billion before he leaves the White House. And to Cheese's point, when he spoke to a senator, they were trying to retroactively like take back some money or, you know, some of the earnings that Trump made in crypto, you know, or penalize him for what he's done in this space. So the Democrats, either they really don't understand it or they're just really playing politics, saying like, hey, we might even just wait 2 years till Trump is out of office to actually pass some crypto legislation in this country. So fortunately for us, the CFTC, right? Michael Sealy, he brought up Hyperliquid. You know what I'm saying? Well, Trump brought it up based on, you know, Michael Sealy's recommendation about Hyperliquid. Hype went stupid. The market went stupid. Bitcoin hit almost 80K, right? But the CFTC and Paul Atkins, the head of the SEC, he said, we're going to go ahead and regulate these digital assets regardless of what these politicians are going to do in DC. And we know this space has been thriving, you know, the whole cycle, the ups and downs for almost, 17 years now, right? So even if we don't get the Clarity Act passed and the Democrats just hold out for 2 years, I still feel like this space will innovate. You know, not as much innovation might not take place in the US, but we will wait and see. So I gotta ask my guest, co-host, what's your thoughts on crypto for this year? Because like I just mentioned, you know, everybody check your charts. And Cheese gonna finish up his thoughts too, but I want y'all to answer that once Cheese finish up. What are y'all projected forecast for crypto for 2026? Well, go ahead, Cheese.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer that question too. I'll answer this question, but I wanted to add into everything that everybody was saying, because I had made a video about this on IG, and it was funny, you know, to take more words from what Brian Armstrong said after he said that education is not going to be like the key factor. He also highlighted that the GPS, you know, it's similar to the GPS. And then the next day at the Block Voices conference, we actually had a conversation, and someone brought up the same GPS concept, right? So that was actually like resonating across both days, which is something that I wanted to share, because the GPS technology is very much like infrastructure technology, right? It's used in many different apps for many different use cases, right? You want to go bike riding, right? You got Strava on your phone. You can use Strava. Strava can detect where you're riding your bicycle, and then it can create a nice map for you to share with your friends on IG, right? Or if you want to tell people where your location is on Instagram, you can go on Instagram and you can turn on your location. If you want to be able to share your location with your girl, if you want to be able to share your location with your homies while you just texting, while you out and about with your phone, you can do that. This has all been made possible because of GPS,
No doubt.
right? And GPS though, by itself, it's like, how much do you really care for it, right? Like the super nerds do, right? So that's where we're at, right? Crypto by itself has, it's still going to be very rough to understand, unless you're one of us.
That's right.
Right? But we need some moments we need some like real life moments that like you'll get people that use crypto to avoid remittance fees when they're sending money back home to their families, right? But how much of the everyday man does that affect? I don't know. So we need a everyday man effect app that will showcase the use of blockchain underneath the rails, and it's not going to be invested. It's not going to be invested. Most of the world does not invest money, right? Most of people more people use Cash App than they use E-Trade,
I can believe that.
right? So more people are concerned about movement of money than they are of harboring and investing of money, right? So there's gonna be some type of daily app that would leverage, or like, this is why when we had that call on Tuesday, I said that it might come from the payments. Like, payments might be that thing, because our like payments or any peer-to-peer community type economics, because that's where you have the ability to pack multiple people at a time at different scales, right? As opposed to like these money sending opportunities.
That's right. Nah, Cheese, thank you for elaborating that, man. And I think you highlighted a great point. It's gonna be transaction payments that might be the thing that, be the catalyst for this industry, Or it could be GTA 6 coming out with an in-game currency that you might win for finishing a mission.
Maybe that's why the game keeps getting delayed, because of the Clarity Act.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Cars is NFTs and stuff.
Yeah, that'll be lit. That'll be lit. So fellas, man.
It's
20.
It's fair. I mean, I was reading about somebody playing GTA, and I didn't know this was the case, but this is true. You can, if your cars get damaged in the game, you have to have insurance on the cars.
They got insurance in the game now? That's wild.
Yeah, you have to have insurance on your cars in the game, and if you don't got insurance on your cars, you can't like get these cars summoned back, so you lose the car, so you got to go buy the car again. So there's already a ridiculous amount of time that people are investing personally to like create this life in GTA. Like, I got this car, I got this house, I got this painting on the wall. Like, they got these clothes. Like, they invest time and they stream that shit like regularly.
Not just GTA, like
Not
all
just
games,
GTA,
2K,
not
Call of
2K.
Duty, it's all
Right.
the same thing.
So
That sounds like a metaverse.
exactly,
it is
Exactly.
already there. Like, the way these games are played right now, it is very much a metaverse, because you add in streaming, and now you got everybody that's very much like they are part of your day-to-day journey. Like, they want to know what clothes you about to cop today in the 2K game, like
Fortnite.
or Fortnite.
That's crazy.
So there's a whole economy that's not tapped into. That, if I'm Rockstar and I think about the future of micropayments and in-app game purchases, if I could just let these assets be traded by some asset other than the US dollar, I would be likely to consider this as an option. Not saying that they would go ahead and do it, but if when money is decoupled from the US dollar, a lot more people are going to start saying it might be interesting if I was doing this. If I could put an economy around this, how much money could be generated in here, but then it's backed by some level of on-chain data to prove that I didn't just poof this money out of thin air.
I think that goes back to your last point where you was talking about you was just saying how it's gonna basically speed up the adoption of it.
Yeah.
But I think like with people having more options, and them having the ability to create the economy, it also it also makes the process more seamless for them to use this technology without them knowing they're using the technology. And I think that's what's going to really speed up the global adoption of this space. And you know, I think that's the power of this space too. Like how you just said
Yeah.
something about economy. Like
No, exactly. I think ultimately, to your point, like the adoption is going to just like when people recognize like I can utilize this technology to do this. Okay, like boom, just like the GPS, like we use GPS and Strava to create maps on and send messages. Like it made sense for Strava to utilize GPS in that manner. So GTA recognizes that, hey, let's launch a stable coin, or Sony, let's launch a stable coin where all the things that are bought and sell in our ecosystem creates yield that we can then take and reinvest in our companies, in our brand. It's the same thing that we're trying to do in the Black community at a person to person level. But these companies are going to do the same shit at like conglomerate levels.
Nah, geez, that's a great point. I'm glad that you highlighted that, man. When it comes down to it, just know that this technology ain't going nowhere, and we are here at ABC every Thursday. So even if you are a novice, if you got questions, if you want to take a deep dive, if you want to build in this space, you know, I'm telling you, man, take advantage of it, man. Retail, they out of it. You know, there's been over 100 companies. I talked about this last week at ABC. Over 100 companies that closed their doors. You know, big names too. You know, whether it was NFT marketplaces or crypto exchanges, there's a major washout. But I really feel like if people take advantage of this technology now, it's going to benefit them in the long term, man. You know, so I definitely want to thank you guys, you know, perspective. But we got to get y'all perspective on the market of where it's going to be at the end of 2026. So this is market analysis, all right? So what do we think Bitcoin or the crypto industry will be at the end of 2026? And do you guys think the Clarity Act will get passed 2026? Jeff, what's your thoughts on this, brother? Then we go follow up with D-Web and Cheese.
As far as market analysis, I mean, I know we saw that run up last week. I personally think that towards the end of the year, we may see a similar run up as well, especially once it gets closer to like midterms and everything. But as far as like a TA analysis, that's not really my strong suit, so I can't really say anything on a technical aspect. But to your point about even if they don't pass the Clarity Act September 16th, there's still other things going on that is progressing crypto forward. I was actually looking up some stuff just now and seeing that the last bit of the Genius Act framework is getting finalized in November of this year for it to be officially implemented. I think it was January 17th, 2027.
Dope.
So we already have some Genius Act movement going. And then the SEC has a regulatory digital asset framework that they launched not too long ago too. About, I think, what was it? How institutions can like raise money through stable coins or something like that. But just those two things alone is just frameworks that we're seeing right now, regulatory frameworks at that, of the remainder of this year that we seeing push crypto forward. So I do think that we'll get closer to it. I'm not holding my breath that it will actually get signed on September 16th, but there could be another meeting towards maybe November or something like that where they do. But with, you know, the left making it like a political, bipartisan issue instead of just it getting solved, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to kick the can down the road even further with the Clarity Act. But I do think we will see it be signed towards the end of the year. Maybe not September, but I think it's going to be closer to like November or something like that is when we'll actually see it.
Okay.
At least that's my hope. But
And you think Bitcoin will get to what, 100K or no by the end of the year?
It almost went to 80, right? It was like 79 something. Close to it. Maybe
Okay.
close to it.
Okay. Great assessment, brother. Great assessment, man. All right, so Jeff feels like before this year's out, we will have the Clarity Act passed and Bitcoin will be close to 100K. Jeez. And D Web, what's your thoughts?
There's days that I wake up and I'm like, we're definitely gonna have the Clarity Act passed. And then there's days when I wake up, I'm like, we're not gonna have the Clarity Act. And the reason why I move like that is because the days that I'm optimistic, right, are the days where, I start to see enough people start to recognize that it's not about the crypto, it's about the blockchain technology underneath it. And as I was highlighting earlier, if there could just be some clarity around that, right, then people would be allowed to innovate. The pool of regulation is so deep, right? And I think like we are not even at the tip of the iceberg. Like there are so like saying being around some regulators this weekend, past week, there's so much to regulate, and we're not even talking about AI yet, right? And yet AI has been allowed to breathe, right? Imagine if crypto just got the chance to breathe a little bit, right? But AI has been allowed to breathe, but they still haven't regulated AI to the point where it's like, where they're giving crypto a lot of the same headache, right? So that being said, like things where we are just trying to understand how we can use smart contract technology and create certain digital assets, then as those get things, you start to see things like prediction markets are a new thing. So as this space continues to innovate, there's always going to be another thing to regulate. But all we're asking for is the first step, like give us this so we can start creating innovation. So when I hear people understanding that part, I feel hopeful. But when people don't understand that and they are like, oh, Trump made this much money and we can't have that, it's like that's like spilled milk. We can't do anything about that.
Right,
so
exactly.
on days that happens, then it's like I don't think we're gonna get it passed. But I think regardless, I think to Jeff's point, SEC just passed the crypto assets bill, or not a bill, but it's just like their documentation, their perspective. It's not going into like it can't go into law. It has to be coupled with something that is going to go into law, but it gives a good perspective on like where they're thinking about how these things should be handled. But that doesn't give like the everyday person the ability to take that as a green light, right? Because if one of us get hooked on something, we can't afford. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I don't know. I don't think I can afford the lawyers that to fight the SEC, right? So there's a lot of companies out there that have money that have access to the lawyers to do that, and they're the ones that are able to lobby and make plays in this space, while everybody else is kind of waiting for that green light to just be like, okay, here's what I can do, here's what I cannot do. But that being said, I think the price, because of the opportunity to innovate, regardless of what the government is doing, I think the price will be more so dependent on like some hopeful of the innovation, and then really the last pump that we saw was more because of the bonds and how they were moving the bonds of that bond buyback last week. So even stuff like that, like I think the market's going to do what the market does, and the Clarity Act is not going to be not going to be the proponent. Like they always say, buy something and then sell the news, right?
By the rumor.
Buy the rumor and sell the news, right? So, like I think by the time the Clarity Act comes out, the market's going to already be priced in, and it might actually just go down for a bit and then go up, right? But
So
I don't
for
think.
the end of the year, do you think Bitcoin is going to be over 100K?
Well, so what if it was to get over 100K, it wouldn't be because of the Clarity Act. It would be because the private sector
Okay.
is making enough noise to push it to get some retail to FOMO in, or there's a major uptick in buying of like Bitcoin from institutions. But given that it's we're heading into like the fourth quarter, well, we're still rounding up the third quarter, but heading into the fourth quarter, I think I don't think we'll pass 100K. We'll get close, but not. I don't think we'll pass it.
Okay. More conservative. D-Web, what's your thoughts, brother?
NFA. I got a dual bias. I do have an optimistic take, but I also do have like a take if it doesn't work out. So in regards to the Clarity Act, I think crypto is becoming more progressive in the U.S. And a lot of the politicians or the people that's in office, they don't want crypto to be behind these other countries. They want America to be one of the innovators in the space. So I think with a lot of the positions like Paul Atkins, Kevin Warsh, like all of them, they're for crypto. So
That's right.
me being optimistic, I do think they're gonna pass it. The when, I don't know when. They could, just stall out again. But I think ultimately they're gonna pass it. As far as what Joe just said, I think price will already be priced in. But so I do think it could be a pullback if the Clarity Act do pass. But I think the floodgates gonna open, and I think prices gonna go way beyond 100K
Before the end of this year? If the Clarity Act is passed, that's what you said.
If it
Gotcha.
passed. But still, even looking historically, October, November, December, those are very bullish months when the markets are in a cycle. And I think, like I was just telling Jeff, I think if this month closed monthly, it's like a monthly close, I definitely think prices can continue to go to the upside. Like we just went from 63K to 80K in 4 days. Like
It's wild.
so, like I think when the cycle really comes into play and stuff starts really playing out, it's gonna move parabolic. That's just my optimistic state. But
Yeah, I definitely
100K
think it's
end of
gonna
year,
be
though?
for a pound back.
I definitely think it could. I mean, it's very possible.
Okay. So it seems like everybody is leaning towards we'll be closer to 100K by the end of this year. This is not financial advice, just like D-Web said. So hold on, y'all. Hold on for one hot second. T's gonna unlock his phone right quick. So I like the fact that everybody up here is pretty much positive and optimistic about where crypto will be by the end of the year. Whether it's the the Clarity Act, right? Or Bitcoin hitting over 100K. I'm glad everybody is optimistic about it, Yeah, I think we'll get close to it.
That's still big too, though.
Yeah, the Genius Act is still big, and like you said, it won't be fully, rolled out until top of the year, 2027.
Like
correct?
January 17th of next 2027, but in November of this year is when it's gonna finalize all the framework.
No doubt. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that, man. So, yeah, y'all. I knew today was gonna fly by, man. We had a lot of great things we discussed today, and we didn't even really touch on a lot of topics, but we're gonna jump into two. All right, we're just gonna jump into two. We talked about the market and where we think it would be by the end of the year. But there's something that's been going on in this space over the past few months, and almost every week there's at least 2 to 3 different companies either shutting down or getting exploited. You know what I'm saying? We even had crypto hardware wallets from Ledger to Treasure, having issues with exploits. You see what I'm saying? So the advancement of AI is becoming a problem for a lot of chains, you know, and a lot of different projects in Web3. So one in particular, this is the first time I've seen something like this happen to a Web3, you know, like Web3 gaming ecosystem. But the sandbox, anybody's a fan of the sandbox? Anybody played any games in that virtual world?
Yeah,
Sandbox.
metaverse.
Yeah.
Now check this out. The sandbox has shut down that sand token, bridging on Base and BNB Smart Chain after attackers exploited its cross-chain infrastructure to create billions of unbacked sand tokens. The similar thing happened to Harmony. Harmony won. They were able to create, I think, like 4 billion tokens or something crazy. You know what I'm saying? So Harmony, just last week, now Sand this week, you know, is exploited for people being able to just mint a bunch of tokens, right? So the attackers compromised permissions and used mint cross-chain Sand, allowing them to essentially create counterfeit tokens without locking legitimate Sand on Ethereum, with security firm Blockade calculating a dramatic $49 billion face value across the attack. That's crazy, yo. I don't think Sand was worth that much as far as their market cap, so that shit was inflated. But however, that does not mean the 49 billion was actually stolen, because there was nowhere near enough liquidity to sell the counterfeit supply. See, that's what I'm saying. Like the valuations on some of these, you know, market caps, sometimes they just be too high. And there's, if you look at the volume, transaction volume, sometimes it just don't even be like 10% of what the market value be, right? So early analysis suggests the real value extracted may have been closer to less than $1 million, about 675,000 K. That's very, that's very small compared to the $49 billion, right? But Ethereum and Polygon Sand remain unaffected, and individual wallets were reportedly not compromised. So Sandbox has isolated the affected networks, and they plan to use a pre-exploit snapshot to identify legitimate balances, and says eligible liquidity providers will be compensated as it investigates the full impact. So like I said, we talked about Harmony last week. This week is Sand. I don't know how these sophisticated attacks happen where they're exploiting, you know, vulnerable blockchains to be able to mint counterfeit tokens, but I don't think we're gonna see the last of this. All right. So I gotta ask my co-host and my guests, what's your thoughts on projects like the Sandbox and Harmony being able to be exploited for people to create these bogus tokens? Who wants to go first?
I don't know.
Cheese, you wanna go? Okay.
That's one. So I think it's from one angle, I want to talk about it from the security standpoint, right? Like liquidity was not there for them to extract all the money that they try to hack it with, right? So that's actually it's not a bug, that's a feature of the blockchain where if there's not enough liquidity, you're just not gonna be able to get the money out. I mean, lots of times I'm trying to trade a meme coin and there's no liquidity, and you're just not going to be able to move that coin, right? So I think from that perspective, when you look at it from that perspective, the way like hackers are going to attack these smart contracts, they're gonna keep having to get more creative, right? Because they were still able to walk away with like $500,000, a little bit over $500,000, but they wanted like 49 mil. And
Bill, that's what's
billion?
crazy. Yeah,
It
that's
was
what I'm
billion?
saying. That's
Damn,
what
they
I'm saying.
wanted 49 billion.
No.
But you see, that's my point. Like smart contracts, if they're not, audited and done properly, they can be injected, and like you said, the economy could be inflated. But at the end of the day, if there's no true liquidity there, then it's not coming out. right? So I think that's why I say that's like a pro of the blockchain in a way, because uh, if they like, we've had scenarios here where, you know, smart contracts were being hacked, right? And they weren't able to get away with more than, you know, X amount, because at some point they had to sign for this and that. So it's just more trustless technology is my point, right? And when that happens, Sand might be okay risking this amount of money because they got that in their treasury that they can replenish to the people. They got the data. They identify the people whose wallets got impacted, and they can do all that because of the on-chain data. Imagine if these type of breaches happen in like Web 2 world, which they do happen in Web 2 world, and we're not, and like, it's just like, well, my bad. You know,
No reimbursement.
Or here's 3 cents. Hey, here's you know, here is $5 because your power went out for the entire day. Right? You know, you could actually probably backtrack the amount of money that you actually were probably held if you were on blockchain. Right? You could probably say, hey, actually, in the last hour, last 4 hours, I typically burn about this much money. You only paying me back 3. You're undercutting me.
That's a fraction.
But yeah. So
Nah, great point. So next up, Jeff, D-Web, your thoughts on Sand and Harmony getting exploited for these tokens? Who wants to go? You want to go first? All right, Web.
I mean, I think just on a basic level, I think when we get to this part of the cycle, it's a lot of companies that always get washed out like this. So part of me look at it like it's gonna be FUD, them just creating fear before the cycle actually take off. But on the other side of the spectrum, I see it as like a precaution to where we have to take the security measures to the next level, because you know, if we don't have the right safety measures in place, we essentially compromise. You know, that's what I think.
That's a great point. We always talk about what we building here at ABC, and I really feel like somebody here, or a group, or collective, we might need to work on some kind of cybersecurity feature for these blockchains. You know, because they're constantly being exploited or hacked, phishing scams, all of that. You know, and sometimes if it's not the chain directly, it's to be the bridge. You know, they exploit the bridge.
Right.
You know, so the more sophisticated AI is becoming, you know, we're seeing more of these hacks. Jeff, your thoughts? Good shit, D-Web.
Yeah.
So with Sand, I saw that it was like BNB. So is it that it's built on Ethereum? But okay, so it's built on Ethereum, so it's a layer 2. I know that, or at least what I've studied, is a lot of these attacks usually come from the most vulnerable part, which are like the bridges that connect. I think that's like the most vulnerable part. So I agree with the security measures need to be more advanced, and I think that's kind of what's going on. This could probably lead into blockchains kind of becoming, or really working on being quantum resistant as well, so that it can avoid having these vulnerabilities that we're seeing. So, and then with Harmony, I'm not sure if Harmony was a layer 1 or layer 2 or not, but I guess kind of like the same point that D-Web was saying, is that these security measures need to be in place. And I think that with stronger, like with more intricate frameworks within the blockchain, like having like the gossip protocol, like with Hedera, HBAR, or like a directed acyclic graph of Constellation and IOTA, having like stronger, more intricate frameworks could probably help with that security feature, and hopefully fix that vulnerability when it comes to these cross bridges that go between chains. So hopefully we start seeing that soon, or like you said, ABC, we get a team together and work on that. So
That's right. That's right. Man, I appreciate your thoughts, man. Both of you gentlemen, appreciate you guys' thoughts, man. So hopefully, in the future, this might be an endeavor, for ABC. You know what I mean? You know, and that would make us more valuable. To actually be part of blockchain cybersecurity. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we need to look into that, man. We definitely need to look into that. Um, I'm gonna have, cause I know that Blue got dropped off. I'm gonna have Blue get back on the stage because I knew we was missing a lady's voice. You know what I'm saying? Cause we usually have the ladies. She's our co-host, so we gotta have her share her thoughts on some of this. So, Blue, gotta ask you your thoughts on the sandbox getting exploited, and Harmony was another one that got exploited. So, what's your thoughts on these people being able to create counterfeit tokens on these chains and blockchain security? All right, Blue, if you can, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hear me?
Yep,
Can you guys hear me?
yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think everybody touched and made great points already, so I don't regurgitate. But I will say that people need to be very cautious and safe about what people are calling blockchain technology, and what they're saying is protected, because a lot of this stuff, even from the early days, weren't operating on blockchain in the first place. So the issue is, even with the cold wallet issue, that was a software issue. It wasn't a wallet issue. So um, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I think the same thing will probably happen with Robinhood. Maybe we get through an entire year without something savage happening, but we'll see. But I think all of these are issues because a lot of these things aren't technically using the technology that they're saying they're using. They're just kind of layering things and then kind of hot cording blockchain to something that has nothing to do with blockchain. But if we mirror it together, we make you think it's safe so that we can rug you or take advantage of whoever trusts us to use your platform. Is kind of my thoughts.
Nah, that's a great point. Great points. So one more thing I want to ask you right quick. All right. We got one more topic that we're gonna dive into, but I just want to get your thoughts on. Do you think the Clarity Act will be passed before this year's out? And price action. Where do you think Bitcoin will be before this year's out?
So the first question is, do I think the Clarity Act will pass before the end of the year?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, Honestly, it is, and it's more than extremely difficult to read what these individuals are doing. Normally, you can kind of tell by certain actions that different senators and Congress people make, but because our government doesn't work the same way anymore, and I'm not particularly clear if the president really wants this Clarity Act to pass or not. And then I see other entities stepping up saying that they're going to make other rules, regardless if the Clarity Act is in place or not. So that kind of signals to me there's a pushback on what's in that Clarity Act. So I don't know if it's going to pass. I would give it like a 10 to 15 cent per chance, unless there's something behind closed doors and the Trumps, like whoever the council is that's running the show, because it's not him, whoever decides that, if they see that they can still continue to do everything that they're doing, then I would say we would have the Clarity Act passed September 15th. As far as Bitcoin price action, I feel like the more well-off people are figuring out that the less unfortunate individuals are figuring out how they're starting to profit. So I think Bitcoin, like, I think it's going to be high in December. I think it's going to drop in January because of taxes and dumping. I still believe in all of that. So I think it's going to be high in December and it's going to drop in January. And then also I think something really funny is going to happen closer towards like the end of February, beginning of March, because that's when like people in a certain tax bracket receive tax returns. So I think that it's going to be a shaking during that period, and then it'll go back up after the shaking's done.
Okay. So it sounds like you're optimistic for Bitcoin to be close to 100K by the end of this year, but it will be a drop off sometime at the early part of the year, 2027. All right. All right, so pretty much everybody's pretty positive. I like that. Even though we're in the bear market, it sounds like people are perma bulls around here, man. So big shout out to the ABC fam, man. Everybody had a lot of great thoughts. We got one last story, all right? So this one is very controversial. Obviously we cover blockchain technology and crypto, but we also cover AI. All right, so there's something going on, especially in the city of Atlanta with surveillance. All right, Atlanta is one of the most, when it comes to surveillance, we're at the top. All right, there's probably more cameras here than any other city, which is crazy. I don't know, maybe it's a test bed for other cities to follow, but it goes like this. Y'all heard of these new flock safety cameras? Mm-hmm. They now are integrating AI, so let's talk about it. All right, so Flock Safety is expanding its license plate surveillance network with OS Investigate, an AI-powered system that can help police identify potential targets based on behavior, location, and travel patterns without initially knowing a person's name, license plate, or physical description. So this is, to me, extremely invasive. All right, so the platform reportedly includes 69 built-in investigative prompts and can combine flock camera data with arrest records and commercial databases containing personal information. Instead of simply searching for where a known vehicle traveled, investigators could ask the AI to identify vehicles that repeatedly appeared near certain locations or follow specific movement patterns. Wow. Feel sorry for you dope boys and the people who solicitate prostitutes, because man, they can just track your movement and just be like, okay, these guys are up to no good in this area. All right, so while the technology could help police uncover connections and solve crimes faster, privacy advocates are concerned it could also enable mass surveillance, false positives, and investigations of people who were never suspected of wrongdoing. All right, so the system highlights how AI is transforming surveillance cameras from passive recording devices into searchable databases capable of analyzing the movements and behaviors of millions of people. So that means it's going to be way easier for police to solve crimes. I think, honestly, I'm kind of 50-50 on this, honestly, because we know there's abduction cases, where this can be extremely helpful, to see a individual who might be like circling a area where there's playgrounds or schoolyards where, these people might try to abduct a kid. Or when it comes to, like I said, trap houses, there might be certain vehicles that are constantly going to this area, and now they can see exactly what's going on because they're using AI and they can get more detailed when it comes from these databases, man. So I gotta ask my co-host and my guest today. This is the last story for the day, and this was a great show today. I gotta ask y'all, what do y'all think about these new flock safety features that they're incorporating AI to get more data about our behavior out in public? Who wants to go first? Jeff, it looked like you had a thought, like, you know what I mean? You want to go first on this? Floor's yours.
So this is pretty interesting. Well, I was actually on my phone trying to look up some extra background information, and it actually does say that Atlanta is the most surveilled city in the U.S. on a per capita basis.
Crazy.
124.14 cameras for every 1,000 residents, significantly outpacing other major U.S. cities.
I think New York would have had it, man. It's more people.
Exactly.
What's going on?
So I don't know. Atlanta's a blueprint for this, I guess. But with this, especially adding, AI to track movement patterns and stuff like that, I agree in the sense of like abductions and human trafficking that definitely will help with that. So I don't think the technology in it itself is a bad thing, but with law enforcement's history of stricter guidelines and frameworks against certain groups of people, it could also give them more ammunition to start targeting those people, having target individuals. So that is another aspect. Also, with AI component being added, I think that this could also be a framework for like a smart city model. I think that's like another aspect to it, in a sense of having that data being collected and almost being like within that ecosystem to track people's movements. I mean, we see, sci-fi movies of like where police can like reenact like a crime scene, and like you see like the person like doing whatever the crime was, whatever that. Not saying it's gonna get to that point, but like I think that's an interesting. That when I first heard about that, that's like the first thought that kind of came in mind was like
Minority Report.
Minority Report. Like immediately, like, oh, since this person has a certain behavior that deals with this criminal profile, they must be doing that in the future. So let's get them now, type stuff. Or so again, it's interesting. I don't think that. Hopefully, it doesn't get to a point where it will start affecting people, innocent people, but use that tech to track and I guess like premeditate people who will actually do those bad things to innocent people and stuff like that. But for Atlanta to be the most surveilled city, I think is insane, to be honest with you, and that is concerning. And with other cities having smart city frameworks, like LA, I know they have a smart city plan for 2028. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot more of that too. So,
Man, this goes down into the conspiracy theory books now. You know what I'm saying? So now we got another issue to talk about in our conspiracy theory circles, man. Cheese. D-Web, who wants to go? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Cheese.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jeff, also.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the flock cameras are interesting. We like surveillance. Yeah, definitely Atlanta is up there, number one. And like think about, I don't know if you guys know this, but NFL signed the contract, or the NFL had put out a press release or something like 3 years ago that all of their games, every time you purchase a ticket, right, that actually gives them right to record you at the games.
Oh, wow. I
So
didn't
the
know that.
stadiums have facial recognition in them.
Wow.
Most of them do. I don't want to say most of them, but that was like something that was given. The NFL was given the rights to do that, like 3 years ago. So there are stadiums that have already upgraded their technology to go ahead and be able to, every time you come in, your face is
in that database.
in that database.
Crazy.
And I mean, how many of us use, Face ID?
Yeah.
We're in that database.
You got
Right.
clear too for the airport.
And you got clear too for the airports. So like these things, when it's convenient, we allow it to happen to us, right? So they're gonna be, like you said, crime stopper reasons where flock cameras will be great utility. But there was a website published not too long ago, I think, actually public website, or it wasn't supposed to be public, but somebody got on it and they could find, the license plate numbers, and they could pretty much just put that license plate number and see everywhere that license plate, last went. So there was a joke online. Yo, you want to track your girl? You can just use a flock cam.
Oh man.
But like that joke aside, like it's a joke, but people are using the air tags. People use air tags like that straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So like and this goes back to the GPS conversation, right?
Mm.
The government had GPS before we did, for sure, right? So when it became cool for like the everyday developers to develop cool stuff on GPS, we were able to innovate the technology past like a surveillance thing. So maybe one day we even have these cool reasons to use flock cameras in our like everyday lives. But we're past the point of like privacy conversations, because even like during the Super Bowl last year, I don't know if y'all remember the commercial from Ring when they basically launched a new feature, but they masked it as being able to find your dog. Like you can turn, like, people are allowed to use Neighborhood Watch, which is the new feature on the Ring camera, where where you can sign up and let everybody else see what's going on in your thing. So now if you do that, you pretty much everybody can watch everybody's back, but essentially I can now Ring can surveil all at once.
Because everybody has them now, so
Yeah.
Great point, Cheese. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree with all of y'all points. I see the benefit in it stopping crime, but on the other side, I think it's just for more control from the powers that be. To be honest, like for example, just to piggyback off what he was saying, like it's so many things happening that's surveilled. Like the 2027 cars, they're gonna have surveillance inside the cars. Like, so I think all parts of my life is being privacy being invaded. And I think it's only gonna continue to get worse, just to give the government more control of what we got going on in our lives. Honestly, I don't like it, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie. And it just reminds me, it's this video game called Watch Dogs.
Yep, Watch Dogs.
Everything that happened in that game, we seen it happen in real life, and I think.
Explain the game.
So it was an open world game, but like the city was super surveilled. Like you can click on a person and you will get like all the details, and it just shows like our data is really worth more than gold now. Like it's really that important. And like they got access to all of our type of stuff. So it's important for us to be vigilant.
yeah. And then like a little more context of the game too.
It's like you're a hacker in the game,
Yeah.
and it's like you can hack anything. So you can hack like street lights, you can hack like turnstiles, or like whatever, like the stuff in the road that could like spikes come up. You can do that.
Change
So
the
you
lights.
can like take
yeah.
people. You can like the website. You can scan people, and then even like hack their phone, so you can take money out their bank account by just looking at their phone and stuff. But like,
But
that
here's
can
the
go
other,
crazy.
y'all tapping into the game, and I actually now want to go back and confirm it, because I remember I was playing Watch Dog 2, and when you hack, there's a cost metric, I believe. Like it costs you this much to hack. I remember seeing that. I'm like, yo, that's crypto because it costs like I'm on my computer running some type of like code, and the code has to pay a fee.
Gas fees, stuff like
So
that.
it's like I gotta go back and play the game. But yeah, Watchdog is a dope game. They got like Watchdog that's in SF. They got the two ones that is in SF, and they got the one that's based in London.
Watchdog Legion.
What Legions? Yeah, Legions.
Nah, fellas, man. Thank y'all for that, because I was not aware of that game, and that's kind of trippy, man. So my concern in Blue, we gonna ask you the same thing. Your thoughts on this? I know you got your hand up, but my whole thing is, we just been talking about all of this advancement in AI and how that's enabling hackers to exploit certain protocols. Now, what's to say what's gonna happen when a criminal or criminal enterprise is able to infiltrate and hack into this
That's what
flock
that was part of the game too.
database? You see what I'm saying? So, Blue, what's your thoughts on what's going on with the advancement of AI and how it's helping out criminals to be more sophisticated in the over surveillance of, in particularly, this city, Atlanta, and flock using AI?
How'd your kids? How'd your wife? It's gonna be crazy because she's talked about one of the things I was gonna say. Ring partnering with Flock. That's scary as hell. Yeah, they walked it back and said, "Oh, technically, we didn't use any of the videos." That's all a lie. And then Flock acquired Airdrome, which is a drone company.
What?
And because of that, they've been able, they can literally say that I was in Griffin at 8. They can say that I went to Marietta 3 hours later. They can replace me in like Savannah and then say I went to Athens. It's more than just images. The police have already allegedly, air quote, got in trouble for stalking people with Flock. There's already investigations about the Savannah Police Department misusing Flock. There's already like an issue with movement tracking, kind of like how I described how they can track me throughout Georgia. And then technically with AI, they can place me somewhere that I wasn't. And there are unauthorized data sharing far as like, that's why California disabled Flock. Because they're discovering that the Flock is literally like containing data of our faces and all kinds of things, even though that they say they're not. Other cities and states have canceled the setup for Flock. And then with the AI surveillance, it enhances it because now they can ping you to like a 911 call. They can like scan the commercial database and identify information to whoever person they need to associate it to. We've already seen people with like wearing masks pretending to be someone else. So with this AI and Flock, they can literally say you committed a crime that you didn't do. And there's a lot of hardware issues as well. So I believe that there are 15 states that were supposed to get Flock systems. And then after seeing what happened to Atlanta, they canceled those orders. Cass actually got to speak with the gentleman who started it. It's a black man, from my understanding. My issue is that they're using the tech that this this individual came up with to protect and like fight crime, and they're using flock to create crime. So it's like, yeah, they could save and find like all these crimes that are happening with the flock cameras, but they're choosing not to use it in that way. They're choosing it to literally stalk or track or, place something on an individual that lives in the state of Georgia, and Georgia is a pallet city, for the other states. So I'm not a fan of it. I do know like there's Instagram pages that I try not to follow. But I do like see their videos of them going around Georgia destroying all the flock cameras and things like that. But yeah, it's quite wild.
Yo, Blue, I'm gonna tell you like this. First of all, you smoked that. You actually smoked that. I love the fact that was the last story, and you had the last word on that because you actually smoked that. You highlighted a lot of information that I saw our faces. I saw D-Web faces. Hearing the reactions from my guests and co-hosts, man. Like you just hit us with a lot of shit that we didn't know what was going on with Flock, and the details and how law enforcement is misusing it. Man, you highlighted a lot of great points and things I didn't know, man. So I'm glad a lot of states is trying to fight this and they not allowing this extra surveillance to take place. It's very invasive, man. Oh man, Blue, thank you for that so much, man. And it's crazy that Cass met the founder. Yo, Cass, she be knowing some people, yo. You know what I'm saying?
I said it yesterday.
Yeah,
Cass
man.
Blue, somebody. Yeah.
But it's amazing that she met that guy too, man. So we definitely want to keep up with this. I'm actually glad I, incorporate this story into the pod today, man. Because like I said, we cover blockchain technology, we cover crypto, but we got to keep up with what's going on with AI because it's affecting every industry, and we use it here, even as builders. You know what I'm saying? And D-Web, you using any AI to help trade?
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So yeah, y'all. It's been a great pod, man. I think the last time we had two guests on was Blue and Cass at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So now, we got our resident ABC fam, Jeff and D-Web here today. Shout out to Cass, shout out to Blue. They jumped up here today and shared their thoughts. So, we had plenty of perspectives, from different individuals. And man, shout out to everybody who pulled up, all right? Because that wasn't a short trip, man. Everybody who pulled up to Athens yesterday, Sharita pulled up, you know what I'm saying? Man, Tyrick, he showed up. Chris showed up. Obviously, Tia and Tavy was there. Bubba, Marlon. I know I'm forgetting some people. Obviously, War Baby. Shout out to War Baby. Shout out to Lawrence. Rich Annette, he was up in there. Barry B was there too. So yeah, man, we had it popping. Oh, can't forget E3. Elijah was in the building. You know what I'm saying? We took a great group photo too. I can't wait to see that group photo. You know what I mean? And we brought some melanin out there to Athens, and we're going to be bringing more melanin across this state as well. So next up is Augusta. That's next Saturday. So hopefully, we get a good turnout for that. We got to start promoting. I can send you guys the flyers individually so, we can all start promoting this Augusta event. And I never been to Augusta. And then you gentlemen been there?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, you want to tell us a quick rundown on what we expect to see out in Augusta?
I only went there because the company I work with, we did some construction on the ANGC golf course over there. So I was out there a few times, but I would say it's pretty much kind of the same type of people you're gonna see in Athens.
Okay.
So we definitely gonna bring the culture over there and definitely bring our own flavor and sauce, like what Lewa was saying. But it's a longer trip, I know that, but it's pretty much gonna be the same thing. So we just really need to show out and do what ABC does, So should be a good time though.
Great, man. I'm looking forward to it. Again, shout out to Stan with Crypto. I don't think we bigged them up, man, but Stand with Crypto. They were one of the sponsors. We got the DeFi Education Fund. All right. We got DIFA. You know, that's another individual who has helped sponsoring this tour. Again, can't forget ABC, the Atlanta Blockchain Center, Peach Check. You know, and listen, man, we coming to a city near you, and this is all gearing up for Block Party South. We got some special guests that's gonna be pulling up to Block Party South. We don't want to make no announcements yet, but this one is gonna be lit for the city of Atlanta, man. You know, we're gonna have a Web3 event. You know, we all gonna be Web3 wavy, and shit, we gonna be teaching y'all, man. But I like the fact that Tia made a call, like I gave the analogy to D Web, like, you know, we were all figuring out how we were gonna be able to be involved and impact the community. Tia was like, "Yo, this is gonna be a one-on-one," so we call the isolation play on this. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just pull up and have one-on-one dialogue with people, and it was great. I think that should be the format going forward. You know, to all these other, you know, cities, so people won't feel intimidated, like you said, Jeff.
Yeah.
You know, they'll feel more comfortable about just having dialogue with us and want to express their thoughts and concerns, because, you know, just like that individual, you know, he had his concerns about crypto and, you know, lean in more into fiat. But hey, that's what we here for, man. We here to educate the people. We here to, you know what, not only that, make y'all look good in this space, man. Because if you're interested, if you a Web3 DJ, jump on to igetsbusy.com. I got the hat on. igetsbusy.com. Get your freshest Web3 wavy gear. Get your phone case covers. Get your hoodies, because hoodie season is coming up. We got some new merch that I'm gonna be releasing soon. Even though I ain't even gonna lie, it's been super busy. You know, shout out to everybody who had a shirt on. I love the support. I'm the designer of all of these tees that you see, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's the Stand With Crypto tees, whether it's the Crypto Votes, whether it's the Mitten Marquee soccer jersey, you know what I'm saying? So your boy is, you know, I'm a graphic designer. I'm into 3D printing, and also, you know, this is my business partner right here in 3D printing, you know, Just Cheese, man. So we are modern day tech renaissance men, you know what I'm saying? This is how I like to classify us, you know what I'm saying? Because we do a lot in tech, man, and we make this shit look good, you know? So shout out to everybody who pulled up, and all of the listeners today too, and, you know, everybody who comes to ABC. Cheese, you want to talk about what's going on this Thursday at ABC? You got that set up yet, or not? You want to hold off?
We're gonna be talking about actually regulation crypto assets. So we actually can now, you know, break that down, since I think it came out, you know, Thursday.
Okay. Hey, so we are looking forward to Thursday's session at ABC here at the Rice Center.
It came out Tuesday, so it came out Tuesday before, and we already had the KOL topic, so we didn't really get to break it down. I didn't know. Did you guys break it down?
Nah, I don't think so. Oh, did we?
Did what? Did break on what?
The framework.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Cash did.
Yeah, shout out to Cass for having a phenomenal session about KOLs, man. And she's only gonna be out here to Tuesday, so safe travels back to Hawaii. See, we got, you know, even though technically Hawaii's part of the United States, you know, she's in international waters, y'all. You know, so super proud of her being a part of this community. You know, Blue and Cass, they bring a lot of wisdom and experience, you know, and connections, you know, to the ABC family, man, and the community out here. So again, it's your boy T Gold, founder of the TCK Web3 News Roundtable and TCK Media. Tap into the CryptoCrew.com for your latest Web3 news. Be on the lookout for that newsletter. Big shout out to everybody who subscribed to the newsletter. Thank y'all for that. Appreciate the support. And we'll be seeing everybody here Thursday. If you're not popping up Thursday, you know, pop in virtually here on our spaces every Sunday at 4:20. Again, I got to thank our guy, Jeff. We got to thank our guy, D Web, for pulling up, taking a time out their day, you know, to share their thoughts, their history. I'm glad we got a backstory on y'all experience into crypto, you know, and finding ABC and your perspectives on the space. Cheese, we appreciate, you know, all of the thoughts today and your perspective, and we're glad you're back in one piece. coming back from Martha's Vineyard. You know what I'm saying? And you was spiffy out there too, man. You know what I'm saying? I saw you had the suit on and everything, man. So you know you had to represent, man. So it's only right, man. You know. So yeah, continue to stay Web3 wavy, folks. You know that's it, man. And if you haven't registered, please register to vote. The last date is October the 5th. So we are gearing up for Block Party South and Augusta next week. So that's it. I'm your boy T Gold. I'm out. Thank you for everybody for their time. And we're gonna go out with, I'm gonna see what song I'm gonna play, man. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna go off on, you know what? I like this song that Ross had with T.I. I really like this song. It's called Mahogany Caskets. They really spitting on there. But you know what? Scratch that. You're D-Web, man. It's your time, son.
Get on.
It's your time, man. So I'm on Tidal. So if your exclusive song is it on Tidal? If not,
See you the song I played last night.
yes, sir. So D-Web is gonna play us a song, and we're gonna vibe out to that right quick. So thank you for everybody watching us on YouTube, everybody who's tapped in on Instagram, you know. And he's gonna play this song right now. I'm gonna give him. Oh, you got the mic over there? Yeah, just.
Oh, play it off the
Yeah, just play it.
Yeah, just play it off your phone.
Play it off the phone.
And Cheese is gonna put his phone next to yours. So
I'm scared.
what you scared of, man?
Scared.
You already out there, man.
I'm scared.
You already out there, man. You know. So yes, sir. Web3 vibes, y'all.
Pull up Saturday in Augusta.
Augusta.
Yeah, my rest they be a jizzy. Big little nigga, I'm getting these deals. Yeah, yeah, my rest they be a jizzy. Young nigga, y'all on me in these deals. Young nigga, y'all on me in these trades. Yeah, young nigga trading on shit. I'm switching time frames. Yeah, young nigga, I'm going in a dimension. Yeah, young nigga working my AI. Young nigga like I'm a kiss. Yeah, my shit a jizzy. Don't worry with my shit, I can't get hacked. Yo, young nigga shot my crypto. Young nigga stacking these stats. You know, I'm shooting shots, I got a man. Yeah, these niggas, they broke it. Choke down nigga like Burning Man. Yeah, my pocket, they fat. Nigga, I'm going for a sack. Nigga, I can't get tapped. My rest is Jensen. Young, I'm going up. I'm reaching no brand new dimension. Yeah. Hey, and I'm getting them digits. Yeah, I'm working my AI. Yeah, you know my rest is Jensen. I'm in my laboratory. I'm feeling like a chemist. Bitch, I'm trapping pills. I'm running up them digits. Hey, bitch, I'm working with my AI. I've been trading shit. I'm working with my robot. Hey, you know my rest decentralized. I got diamond hands. Know my rest got tokenized. Hey, just, yeah, I'm stuck in on crypto. Yeah, I'm digits. My rest is just, yeah, bitch, I'm in my laboratory. I'm feeling like a chemist. My rest is just, I'm working with my AI. Yeah, this shit a just. Bitch, I'm going up. I'm in a new dimension. And I'm working with my cloud and I don't need permission.
It's the Jensen.
Let's go.
Tracks and Music, September the 13th.
Hold on. Shout that out again, man.
Yeah, man. Tracks and Music, September the 13th. New merch, new music, new everything. You know, Atlanta.
All right, man.
Web Ties, that's it, man. Yo, be on the lookout for that song. He gonna be releasing the video soon. I'm gonna tell y'all, we gonna put him on the spot. We gonna be in the video. We gotta support him because you know this is a community that we support our own. That song was fire. And we might get a live performance soon on that somewhere. You heard? So let's go, y'all. Let's go, y'all. So appreciate Jeff, appreciate D-Web, appreciate Blue, appreciate Cash, appreciate Just Cheese. Everybody tapping in. Thank y'all, man. Sharita, what's good? We see you down there. Ali, what's good? Thank you for tapping in. This your boy T Gold, and we out. Episode 132. Peace.
I appreciate you, bro. That was a great experience, bro.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro, your hair getting long, bro.
Yeah.
Try to get like you, Joe.
Trying to get like me.
You need to do your own podcast too, or something.
Yeah.
Like, put yourself out there, bro.
I did. I actually had a 3-season podcast, but I just don't have time right now.
I feel that.
I want to get back to it though. This definitely brought back.
Like, you ain't.